Good evening, guys. This is Erin Chase and Andrea Deckard and Tony Anderson with Digital CoLab, and we are excited that you are joining us tonight. We thank you for taking a break from the bobsledding adrenaline. I don't know how y'all watch that. It makes me so nervous to watch these guys racing down the track, and like the snowboarders and the flippers, I don't know how their mothers stand it. But anyways, that's another story for another day. If you are going to catch this after you watch the Olympics tonight, we hope that it is helpful to you. Tonight we're going to talk about tackling to-do lists and how we get it all done. The three of us each juggle multiple projects on a weekly basis, and we just wanted to share a couple of tips and tricks and what our work day and work week looks like and how we manage it all and stay focused or not focused sometimes, and tips and tricks. So I'm going to punt it over to Andrea, and we're just going to kind of see where this goes, and hopefully we share some little nuggets of wisdom from our experience that will be helpful to you. So, Andrea?
Thank you. And speaking of the Olympics, I'm convinced that I would be like a gold medalist skeleton runner. So that will be my next thing I'm trying to accomplish. So my to-do list, my day goes probably like many people watching. I have to get my kids on the bus, around 8:50, 9 o'clock, get down to my office to check emails. If I have to run errands for the day, I might do that as soon as I get the kids on the bus, and then come home to get stuff done. But the first thing I always do is I get my email, check my email, check my calendar for the day. I like Google Calendar's notifications, so I get a daily calendar recap of here's what you have to do today. It's kind of like my personal assistant in a way, because I can see everything that's on my to-do list for the day and can start tackling those things. I also keep a running list of just this notebook right here has like little tasks on it that I keep and I mark through. I love my Sharpie. It gives me affirmation, and so I just mark through things as I go along. And I do that with my blog, any client projects that I'm working on. I keep a standing list of that. I also then sometimes add items to Evernote. So if there are certain things that I know that I want to remember on a specific project that I'm working on, or maybe something's hit me with something I want to write for content or an idea for even like a series or something like that. There's Erin's. I will scratch that in Evernote, or I even put it in my master editorial calendar to make sure I don't forget. So those are the things that I'm working from on a regular basis throughout the day. There really is no rhyme or reason for checking email between the hours of 9 and 10 or something like that. I don't really think that for me, I'm not unproductive with my email. I check it as I need to, and then when I'm on social media, I will be more intentional for being on social media throughout the day. If I'm on Twitter responding to people, and I try to stay off of Facebook as much as possible throughout the day, because I do think that makes me unproductive. So that's really my day in a nutshell, and we can talk more about specific ways that we can manage after we hear from everyone else. Erin, back to you.
So that is very cool. And you know what? I don't have one of those Google Calendar Digest set up. I'm going to need to get that set up. I usually just go look at my calendar and have kind of like a mental look at my day so I can, see when calls are coming up. So work day for me typically, and it's actually different for me every day. I do have a gal who helps me with the kids 3 mornings a week, and that is when I really power through. I do a lot of my project work those mornings, and that's when I have completely uninterrupted time, which is very rare. I'm not a super morning person, but by the time 9 o'clock rolls around, I'm a force to be reckoned with until noon, and then typically later in the evening I'll get back to it. When the kids are in bed, super focused. So my blocks of action to do are very sort of random and different each day. But I know when they're coming, and I know how to plan for what I need to get done. So typically I'll answer emails first thing in the morning. look through and see if there's anything I need to do that day. For example, today I was like, oh, I haven't done my recipe post for tonight. I better do that right now. That's something that absolutely has to go up on Monday late afternoon. So I got that done right away, and then moved into my other action items for the day. So I'm going to actually, Andrea showed you hers. I'm going to show you mine. I actually used this for several years, a couple years ago, and I tried to get away from it, and it was a colossal fail. I felt like my life was literally falling apart because I didn't have it organized in a way that was going to work for me. And I think the key is having it organized in the way that works for you. So I'm just going to show you what my little plan. This is what is this? At a glance, 2 a day. Let me see if we can actually see this. Okay, so this was today, and I still have one thing to do, which I need to do very shortly here. But you can see I have it divided up. I have my biggest project is the Favado app, and that's up here at the top, and then I have $5 dinners and any other blog information and digital CoLab action items down at the bottom, and it just is a way for me to divide it up. I put down there what we're having for dinner. That's one of the things. I'm a huge meal planner, and really that not knowing what we're eating for dinner, nagging at the back of my in the back of my mind, is enough to really make me very unproductive. Actually, I'll just be thinking, what are we having for dinner? What are we having for dinner? And I don't know. But when I have it down, and I know that at 5 o'clock I can jump in the kitchen and have, we have taco meat in the freezer, and I can have tacos on the dinner table in 20 or 30 minutes. Really makes a big difference in my day because I'm not in the back of my head thinking about those things. So this is my little system that works for me. I have another notebook that's similar that I keep notes on, but this is where I write my to-do list. And one of the other things that I do, or that I've started doing is, and this is kind of going into email management a little bit, but I use my inbox as my to-do list. If it's in my inbox, it needs action taken on it. I'm one of those one-step people. So I'm sorry, that's not right. One touch. So one touch. I only want to touch an email one time. So maybe it's deleting it. Maybe it's archiving it. Maybe it's leaving it for later. The other thing that I've been doing lately that I've found really helpful, especially because I know when I have my blocks of time for working, is I'll go and add it to my calendar. Like, say, I know I have a work block Thursday morning, so I'm going to take this thing that I can't do today and put it on my calendar for Thursday, maybe even link to the email thread in the calendar, and then it'll pop back up into my inbox on Thursday morning at whatever time I say, so then I can have that time scheduled to take action on that, whatever, if it's a project or if it's, digging into email analytics or whatever it may be. And then I have it then, and then it's not sitting in my inbox like shouting at me saying, you have to do me this week, you have to get this action item done, and then you have to, then I don't have to worry about that. Another one of those back of the head things, I have so much to do. Well, no, I don't have so much to do today, because that thing that would have been nagging in the back of my head is actually on my list for Thursday, and I don't have to worry about it. It's going to pop back up in my inbox on Thursday, and I'll take care of it then. So that's one of the biggest things that's really helped me, is to not have things, staring in my face from my inbox, these things, all these things that I have to do. I have it written down either on my planner or posted into my calendar, so it'll show back up into my action items. So with that, am going to toss it over to Tony. Are you ready, Tony?
I'm ready now. Thank you.
All right, we were having some connectivity issues. She's coming to us from Florida today. So your turn, dear.
All right. Yes, I had to run down the street at 8:58 to get from my parents' house to my brother's house to get a working internet connection. So this has been fun, and my little nephew's graciously turned off the Xbox so that it would be quiet tonight. So anyway, unlike Andrea and Aaron, I do not put children on the bus every morning, so my day looks a little bit different. My kids are all at home with me because we homeschool, and I'm also a morning person. So my day starts out usually very early, around 6 a.m., and I am a morning person, although I like to say I'm not a morning person with people. So I'm fine with digital communication, but I don't want to see your face until about 9 o'clock. And my kids are also late sleepers, so I usually have a nice block from 6 to 8, 8:30 that I can get a lot of work done. And one of the things that's helped me, and I heard this at a session, and I want to say it was John Acuff, but I'm not positive, and he talked about prioritizing your day based on your energy levels and based on the task's energy requirement. So something like, strategizing with Pinterest and pinning things is a low energy task. So I try to schedule things like that during the day, like in the afternoon or evening when I don't have a lot of energy, kind of like hangouts. And then, really high energy tasks for me, would be like, I like Erin, I use my inbox as a to-do list, so I work from my email. So I really focus that on the morning when I do have a lot of energy and I feel like I don't make a lot of errors and typing and things that I have to do. So I try to schedule my day as far as, what do I need the most energy for, and I schedule those tasks during my good times, which would be early in the morning and then early afternoon. So I get up, I work for a nice 2-hour block, then we school for definitely the whole morning, and then in the afternoon of the day, I usually have 4 more to-dos that I work on. And then I try not to do a lot in the evening because that is not my good time and I'm not very productive. I can get online and end up spending, an hour on Facebook doing absolutely nothing, which is completely unhelpful and doesn't get anything done. Another thing that I think it was Rachel Holland suggested, I'm probably giving everybody, I'm probably crediting this all wrong tonight, but she suggested this app called Rescue Time, and you install it on your computer, and it tracks everything that you do, and it's phenomenal. I don't know how it tells what you're doing, but it even tells you, like, when you're on Facebook, what pages you were on. So where did you spend your time on Facebook? Did you spend time on Google Docs, different websites, email? And I installed that a couple weeks ago whenever she mentioned that. And I've actually been using that to help me prioritize my time and basically looking at where am I spending my time, and is that time investment giving me a good return? So I found that, I spent an average of 3 hours a day on email, which at first I thought was ridiculous because I thought there's no, oh, sorry, Brianna. Sorry, Andrea. Thank you for correcting me. Brianna mentioned it. And when I realized that I was spending 3 hours on email, I thought, this is not a good use of my time. Do I need to work on either having someone help me with my email or cutting out, unsubscribing from things? How can I better use my time? But then I realized that because I use my email as my to-do list, a lot of that time spent on email was actually working on projects. So 3 hours seems a little more reasonable when I looked at it that way. But if you don't have that installed on your computer, I highly recommend you do it right after we're done. It is eye-opening. What I liked about it was on the Facebook side, because I feel like you can definitely waste a lot of time on Facebook, but there's actually a lot of productive time on Facebook too. If you're in a group, if you're contributing, if you're if you use that as a way to communicate to different businesses that you work with, you can definitely be productive on Facebook. But that app will show you where you're spending your time. And what I found was, and Erin and I talked about this a couple weeks ago, that we both felt like we were wasting time on the news feed, and we were going to try to purpose to not be just sort of scrolling through the news feed and reading, because we weren't really benefiting from that. And so once I started tracking, it made me more purposeful when I got on Facebook because I knew it would track. So, it's sort of like this, big brother looking over you a little bit. But it helped me get on Facebook, do what I needed to do, catch up in the groups that I needed to catch up on, and then move on to the next thing on my list. So the biggest thing for me is really the working on the projects that take a lot of mental energy when I have the most mental energy. And so my day is totally structured by, what I have to do versus, what time I can slot it in. And like Andrea, I get that Google Calendar email every morning, and that's really the first thing I look at in the day because I plan my day based on that calendar, as well as, like Erin with the to-do list, I email myself, hey, this post needs to be written today. So, everything on the calendar will show me what I need to get done that day, and then I can prioritize it based on the time I have available. My kids go to a sitter 1 day a week, kind of a sitter/tutor. So I have almost one full day that I can work 6 or 7 hours, uninterrupted, and I try to schedule as much as I can on that day as well. And for those of you that do homeschool, I highly recommend doing like this one-day work week where you're going to get these bits and pieces of time throughout the week, but if you can get one day where you get 4 to 5 hours, you will be amazed at how much you can get done if you're not trying to balance those bits of time with checking a spelling test and helping somebody with math problems and then going back and forth. You really will get more time in those 4 or 5 hours than you would over little parcels of time throughout the week.
Now, do either of you actually add like reminders on your calendar and set times for that? Like if you're working on a project, or if you have a post due, you put a block on your calendar that says, work on sponsored content, work on XYZ for client, whatever. Do you guys do that on your calendar? Or Erin, you might not because you use your paper calendar a lot.
I would say if it's an action item that's been sitting in my inbox and I want it out, I will. Well, maybe it depends on the item and if it's coming off my running to-do list or if it's coming out of my inbox. If it's coming out of my inbox and I don't want it in there like glaring at me, then I'll put it on my calendar. And that could be, publish a photo of the maybe it's a sponsored recipe post and I need to put it on Instagram as well. Like I will put those types of reminders just because I just don't like anything falling through the cracks, and so I think it depends on the item, I guess, and what is being asked, and do I want it popping back up in my inbox, or is it okay for it to be written on my written to-do list, because that's kind of like my written to-do list is like my mental map of the day, and then the other things are just I block off this amount of time to do X project on my calendar when I know I'm going to need more than 8 minutes to answer an email or whatever it may be for that particular project, or if it's something I need to be brainstorming on, I'm probably thinking about that throughout the day, and then I'll do a brain dump at some point, and that's a little bit more spontaneous. So I guess it depends on the task. It's kind of hard to answer.
Okay.
What about Facebook for you guys? What do you guys do? Because I know Tony mentioned this, but and I'm actually about to delete the Facebook app off my phone. And I need rescue time for iOS. I think it's available on Android, but they really need to hurry up with the iOS version because I think that would be super eye-opening for me, because I'm running around a lot during the day, and I operate a lot off my phone. I can shoot off emails real quickly. I can text people through Facebook Messenger or whatever it may be. But at the same time, it's a time suck. When I just need a sit down on the couch and just be still, I will often turn to Instagram or Facebook for sort of that clear my head moment, which isn't really clearing my head because it's being filled with what everybody else in the world is doing. So as far as Facebook goes, do you guys shut off notifications for groups? How do you manage, because that can be overwhelming. You turn on Facebook and you're 76 notifications. I don't get that many, but really, that's a lot to even just mentally process.
Yeah, I shut off. I think there's only 3 groups that I actually accept notifications from. And then if I ever comment on someone's, I always stop the notification. So when Facebook changed that a while ago where we couldn't find it, I think Ryan found it for all of us. I was dying for a minute because I wasn't going to comment on anybody's stuff, so I wouldn't get all these notifications because I didn't care what everybody else said, really. Sometimes I did, but the majority of the times I really didn't. So I wanted to stop the notifications. And in the groups, I definitely don't want to see notifications in there either. There's, like I said, just a handful of groups that I really want to get notifications on, and I don't have anything going on my email. That's just insanity right there.
I agree. I don't think I have notifications for any groups. Maybe I have 1 or 2, but yeah, and I don't have notifications come to my phone. I have the app on my phone, but I don't. I think if I get a chat message, that will come up, but I don't get notified of anything else. It's not a good use of time for people, and well, I mean, I don't think that's my opinion for everyone, but I feel like it's not. I feel like when you look at your to-do list, you really have to prioritize, what on that list is the best for your business and the best for your family. So it's the best use of your time. So, family first, then business, and basically prioritizing based on those 2 things. What are your goals for that week, that day, that month, for your business? Is this the year that you're growing your Google Plus? So, are you spending your time on that? Is that where you're devoting a lot of your energy to? Is your goal this year to have more content? I know a lot of the people in the coupon space are really trying to beef up a lot of their content posts, adding recipes and DIY. So is your time spent creating the recipes, creating the DIY? I think when you look at that to-do list, you really have to balance out, is it really important that I even go on Facebook today? Or is it really important that, I invest time in pinning? I know a lot of people now that have people that work for them just pinning. Because for me, like, I can get on Pinterest to pin for my business, and 5 hours later, I'm on Cake Rex, laughing at the ladybug cake gone wrong. So, and I think knowing, like, what your weaknesses are, too, like, knowing what sucks you in, like, Aaron and I are, like, little twins with the distractions. I will get on Instagram, I will get on Facebook, and I can waste an hour really not doing anything, and it's not building my brand, it's not even building relationships. I'm just reading the feed, and then I end up on, Viral Nova and, whatever. So I think, when you look at your list, you really have to, prioritize. And then my brother and I were actually talking today. I'm going to look up because I want to get the name right. And he was telling me about something called Unroll.me. And it's a very cool, I hadn't heard of it, but it's very cool. You can actually unsubscribe all at once to all of the emails that you get in your inbox that you don't want anymore. It's sort of like a bulk unsubscriber. And then you can also, with that same application, subscribe in like a digest form of all the ones you want to keep. So instead of getting 27 emails, you can get one email that has, a little paragraph, and then you can click over and read the whole thing if you want to. But to me, that's a big time saver because, deleting emails takes up a lot of time, and that's truly a complete waste of time to just be deleting, especially ones that you're not even reading. So this is a way to, if you feel like you still need to stay on certain lists, to keep that but not be overwhelmed with what's in your inbox, because most people I know have an out-of-control inbox, and, that's another way to not be able to get to your to-do list and to miss opportunities when you don't see them come through.
Just speaking of the emails, unwanted emails, what I do, I don't know if you guys do this, but when I get those emails in, I have all my emails for, deals and things that we post. They go to a completely separate inbox that me and my entire team will check regularly. And so whenever I get one of those emails in, it never fails. They always come in with using a different from address that I have filtered. I have a little, in my inbox, I have a folder that says need forwarded. But it doesn't just say need forwarded. There is an exclamation point in the front. That way, whenever I have an email that comes in, I don't want to delete it because I need to get rid of it. It needs to go somewhere, not just my trash can. I will then put it in that need forwarded folder, but I have it with the exclamation point because it stays at the top of my folder options, so I can easily select it from the menu without scrolling down through all my folders that I have. And then I leave them all in there, and then I'll have somebody go through, or I'll go through. Somebody goes through, and then they'll add that to the filter to go to the other inbox that I have checked regularly. So there's lots of different emails that I have in there, and I don't want to delete them, but I want to make sure they get to where they need to get to so my team can look at them too. And that's a time saver for me.
Very cool. I like the exclamation point tip because that'll put your folders at the top of the list so you can see them right underneath your inbox, starred, sent, circles, all that. One of the other things I wanted to add was something that is maybe one of my little soapboxes, but it's stop multitasking. And I know that sounds really weird, and it sounds weird coming from me because I'm super type A. I have like 18 plates spinning at the same time. Today, even just today, I got an email about a national media opportunity. 5 minutes later, my mom's showing up so I can walk out the door because my husband needs a new car and we need to go look for one, and I have a conference call in 10 minutes, and my phone chargers, neither one of them is working, and my phone dies in the process. So there's always a bazillion things going on, but I don't multitask through any of that. It's whatever is in your lap at the moment is what you do. You just have to kind of almost, I don't know if compartmentalizing is the right word, but you almost have to like put this aside for like 3.5 hours. I didn't even think about the fact that I had this national media opportunity in my inbox because I didn't have energy or time because I needed to focus on this conference call and I needed to, test drive this car with my husband. So there was, you just, multitasking doesn't help you. I think it almost hurts you, and I think that it's easy to justify that you can multitask, and I do it on occasion. I'll be on the phone while I'm cooking dinner, while holding the baby, that little stereotypical scene that you see. I think it happens, but I think if you want to do things well and you want to do things quickly to completion, multitasking is not a good way to do that. So when you have a project that you need to get done, or you have something that's due, shut off Facebook, shut off, hide your phone somewhere so that you won't get distracted with Instagram. I actually use Instagram for one of my weekly posts on the site, and I will go on there to, get a picture or whatever, or find the picture that I want to use, and I got to find, and I can easily sidetrack down that, but it's just a matter of really staying focused. I have to get this particular post or email answered or whatever the project may be, proposal written for a new opportunity, just really staying focused on that, and then you'll have less squirrel moments. We talk about squirrel moments in our digital CoLab Facebook room a lot. And what are those? And Tony mentioned one earlier, an hour later you're on Viral Nova like crying, right? Because of whatever the latest, because Bodie Miller's crying or whatever. So I think that that's one of the things that I think I do well most of the time is not multitasking, which sounds a little counterintuitive. But I think that if you did a little reading on multitasking, you'd find that other experts would say the same thing as far as getting your things done, doing them one at a time so you can do them well and to completion. Does anybody have any other thoughts on multitasking?
I think one of the things that people do too is when you have 27 tabs open on your computer. It's the same thing, just virtually, not in person, where I think it's very easy to get distracted if you're not focused on one particular task. And I always recommend, if you do have a big project or a blog post, close out every tab but what you're working on. It's not very hard to open a new one if you need to be somewhere else. And if you think you're going to lose the page, bookmark it. We have a lot of technology that allows us to get back to where we need to be if we have to. But I found that when I have a lot of tabs open, I will jump from tab to tab, and I will get distracted very easily. And the other thing about multitasking too is, the best way to decompress is to get offline. And so rather than open up Facebook, open up Instagram, if you just get offline totally, I think usually you come up with better ideas to begin with, because you're, one, not inundated with everything that's going on, and you're actually able to unplug and start viewing the world a little bit differently. So I find that I'm much more productive after I've been online after I've been offline than if I try to be productive after I've been online.
For everyone that just got really scared about closing all your tabs, here's another thing I do. When I want to multitask, or not really multitask, but sometimes you get working on something and you just need a break. You need a break of scenery, so you want to go work on a different project or work on something else. So I'll actually have several windows open, and the tabs for that specific project is in that window. So for example, all of my stuff related to my blog is in one window. Open up another window. All of the stuff related to that client project is in that window. Open up another window. That's another client project. So I have several windows open, and then I can just go back and forth between windows to give myself a break without feeling the anxiety of not having all my stuff open at my fingertips when I need it. And I also do use the bookmark tool. I use Chrome. I use the bookmark tool heavily. So if I do have a project I'm working on, or if I have documents that are documents I have to get at right immediately and I don't want to go to my Google Drive to grab them, I have all my folders there, and then all of the most important documents are at the top of those folders, and I can easily click and grab them. But I like the windows better because it makes me feel better when everything's open.
I love that tip. I think that's fantastic, especially for those of us who are juggling multiple projects. So now that we've hit the 8:30 mark, we all need to think about our happy place, as Tony sort of mentioned, finding that place where you can get offline and decompress. I know for me, it's the swimming pool. I discovered that last summer. We spent a lot of time at the pool, and I am anxiously waiting to get back there, because when you get in a pool, you just sort of relax and forget about all the things that are waiting for you to do when you get out of the pool. So whatever that little
working out. You're like, I gotta hit the gym with all these women in these bathing suits.
Whatever your happy place is, find that. I do think that that's actually really crucial, and I think that's a great note. I'm glad that you brought that up, Tony, because it is important to save some brain space for not being in front of a screen. I think that even being in front of a screen is so much, whether it's your computer or your phone or your tablet, really does contribute to the whole ADD concept, I guess. And so I think that, you know, whether it's pulling weeds in the yard or playing kickball with your kids or whatever it may be, finding that, like, let your brain just sort of let it all go and you know, decompress a little bit. So do you guys have any other, like, closing thoughts before we hit the stop button?
Nope.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us. I hope that you have had, that we've been able to share a few nuggets of wisdom with you that will help you increase your productivity, get your to-do list under control, and just be more productive as you move throughout each day and each week in continuing to grow and expand your business. You can find us online at digitalcolab.com. We also have a Facebook group that we would love for you to join us. You can find us on Facebook as well. We hope you guys have a great Monday evening, back to the Olympics and the figure skating or whatever may await us. And we will talk to you guys same time, same place next week. Good night.
Night.
Night.